Fabulous wisdom. Welcome everyone to Coach Conversations. I'm Suzanne Taylor King, your host. And tonight we have a special conversation planned. Michelle Lee, ANKB Murder is here. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Why don't you tell us what that ANKB in your name means?
If you could unlock the code to the person sitting across from you so that you could communicate effectively in any situation, that's what that code is. That tells people exactly what's important to me, what my core values are, what my buying behavior is, and how I show up in the world.
Awesome. And tonight I want everyone to know just the power of this. So I'm going to grab my link. Is there anybody here who doesn't have their bank code or who does have their bank code? All right, I'm going to drop the link for you to get yours. And then Michelle, I'm going to let you have the floor. And then we'll dive into some conversation.
Fantastic. So, when people are dealing with other people, have you ever had a conflict or an argument, disagreement? Am I cutting out? My dog is barking. A disagreement with another human. Have you ever tried to get a yes, but it just was like you broke open a vial of vinegar and that it just dissolved in front of your eyes? Maybe there was a prospect sitting across from you, and all of a sudden they looked like deer in headlights. And you drove away going, what happened? What could I have done differently? It all comes down to how we communicate and how we're wired. So I work with a methodology that's the only methodology in the world that's scientifically validated to predict buying behavior, buy-in behavior, and even human behavior in less than 90 seconds. And some of you may think, wait, no way, that's not possible. However, it is, and it's scientifically validated. So when you look at bank, it's reverse engineered personality science. So I will explain to you what those initials mean in my name. There's blueprint people who are inside the box. They can be colder to approach. They need structure, stability, systems, planning, processes. They hate risk. And you don't want to surprise them. They're going to tell you if you're on time, you're late. If you show up, even a couple of minutes late, you blew that deal with that person. You blew that connection. You didn't respect their time and you didn't respect them. I went to a meeting the other day and the woman was there 20 minutes early. I knew she was going to be there 20 minutes early. So guess who else was there 20 minutes early? Me. She said, I'm sorry, I'm always early. And I said, no worries. I came early too. I knew you'd be here. They can seem very cold because they're very professional and they aren't on the emotional end of the personality traits. Think of that person who's super organized in your life. My mom used to come over and literally organize my underwear drawer when she would watch my kids. And I would be like, Mom, is nothing off limits? But that's what she did. There's the action personality. They roll out the red carpet. They're the movers, the shakers, the millionaire makers, little firecrackers in your hands. They blew up the box, little rocket ships flying everywhere. They come at you like they just drank Red Bull. They talk fast, they drive fast. They don't like rules. They make decisions fast. They will be your best customer. They say yes, like this. But you got to show them the energy. You got to show them the action. They're full of fun. They can make fun anywhere. So they want fun, opportunities, excitement. They're looking for the VIP life, right? They're the ones that might fake it till they make it. Then you have your nurturing. Think of sweet like honey. Yellow, sunshine, rainbows. They want to make the world a better place. They love everybody. They want teamwork, authenticity, personal growth. They really want to make the world a better place, and they don't like to sell anything. They like to share. But let's face it, it's not the direct sharing business. But they'd rather give everything away. They want everybody to love them. They care. They don't want to hurt people's feelings or come across pushy. They recycled the box. They baked a pie, put it inside, wrapped it up, put a bow on top, gave it away. And then there's the knowledge. They're like, listen, without me, you wouldn't even have a damn box. I engineered it. Research, science, data, logic, it has to make sense. They want all of the information. They don't want to be wrong. They take forever to make a decision. They might take 6 months to buy an end table. They can go into analysis paralysis. But here's the key. Every single human, dogs, animals included, have a bank code. It's the order that it's in that makes them the unique individual that they are. And if you have heard that sales is a numbers game, mathematically it is. Unless you crack the code. Because if you don't know the code, you have a 4% chance of connecting with that person across from you. We all speak different languages. If I show up in my action, and I think everyone in the room speaks action, we'll say English, my odds are pretty good at closing and connecting with those people. But I just walked into a room and guess what they speak? French. And I'm like, well, I love croissants, but I don't know French. I'm never going to connect with them no matter how loud or slow I talk. I just blew them off and threw them in the dust, unless I learned to speak French. Now I walk into a room and they speak Spanish. I went to Spanish, but I blew off high school a lot, so I didn't learn very much of any. Can't speak Spanish, never going to close them. But if I learn how to communicate in Spanish, I now have been given myself the ability to increase my sales up to 200%. And the same with this code. They speak Korean. If only I could flip a switch and speak Korean, then I'd be able to increase my sales up to 300%. And the ability to master communication and people is a skill. These 4 little cards saved my relationship with my oldest son. These 4 little cards gave me the ability to grow my business from 0 to 2.2 million in less than 3 years and sell it. It all comes down to, how do we connect with the person sitting across from us? How do we make people matter? How is everyone seen, heard, and understood? If you don't speak the language, it just ends in miscommunication. Unless, of course, you're in a relationship, then opposites attract. And then they attack, which is a whole nother story. So think about the last time you got a no, whether it was your prospect, your husband, your wife, your child. And how could you turn that around? It's called influence. There's an art and science to it. If you approach things differently from the other person's perspective, it's a win-win for everyone. Can you think of people in your life and maybe what their dominant code is? So my code is ANKB. Action first. Mover, shaker, millionaire maker. Hear me before you see me. Nurturing. I love people. So your second code plays a huge role of who you are, who you aspire to be. That third position, guess what that is? Represents typically when you're under stress. So my high action, loving, nurturing self, if I get stressed out, I don't want to be around I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be talked to. I just want to process my thoughts out loud. And I might sit there and talk out loud and say, everything is stupid. People are stupid. This is stupid. That's stupid. Nothing makes sense. I may ask a bunch of questions. And guess what? Unless people know my bank code, they're like, what is wrong with her? What is she do? Can you believe the way she showed up today? But if you know that, whoa, wait a second, something's up. And if I start organizing things,
Ugh.
forget about it. You might as well just stay away from me, because I don't like structure. I don't like systems. I don't like planning. I don't like rules. I certainly don't like organizing stuff. So Josh is shaking his head. Yes, absolutely. Do not like selling everything I own, although I did. So are you thinking of that person?
Mm.
Suzanne, who are you thinking of?
Well, I don't want to use any names, but I'm thinking of a very difficult client that I agreed to work with. She was a friend from college and she reached out to me and please, please, please help me get my coaching practice off the ground. And I love her, but she's very difficult. And I'm thinking about her personality. And I knew going in, she wasn't going to do any of the things I asked her to do. And we got to the very first task, and she said, I'm not doing that. And I just said, I can't help you if you're not willing to do that. And it was put her face on LinkedIn. I said, nobody's going to hire you as a coach without your picture. They have to see your face. And she said, I'm not doing that. And I said, I can't help you. I can't refer business to you. Or, and if I had really thought about it before I allowed her to hire me, I wouldn't have allowed her to hire me.
So what do you think her code would be?
Knowledge first, because she spent her whole life in school. Then probably, I don't want to say nurturing. What's B again?
Blueprint.
Blueprint. Structure. But yet she didn't want to do my structure. She wanted to do her own structure.
Of course, because okay, so when you look at a K and you look at a B, right? Knowledge blueprint. Knowledge, they're never wrong. Okay, they know everything. Blueprint, they have their own system and structure and processes, and it works. They don't like change. Change is risky. Also, putting yourself out there can be risky too. So when you look at the different codes, these two, blueprint, knowledge, they're head codes. Your knowledge, your nurturing, and your action are heart codes. So when people tell you to make that emotional connection, it's because 50% make those decisions emotionally. Knowledge make them logically. It has to make sense. You can't close them. They have to close themselves. Blueprints are skeptical. They base everything on the past. So if they got screwed over in the past with a certain situation, that's what they're basing their decisions on in the future. And they don't like risk or change.
Wow.
So
yeah, so maybe, before somebody becomes a client, I could even have them take it. And, what information can you gather from that, which is really interesting. And how else can it help, Michelle, besides sales, besides building rapport quicker, knowing how someone likes to learn or be talked to or be taken care of in a business situation, what are some of the other implications that it could be used for?
So it's used in every form of communication, from relationships to build to your family life, right? To business. So when I was using this in my business, I used it for hiring. When I hired my QC, I needed a quality assurance person. I had a food company. Okay, I built 5 production lines. I sold retail jars of oatmeal, breadcrumbs, brought it in bulk containers, and shipped it all over the world. I needed a quality control person. I needed a very specific code for that person. First, they had to be blueprint. They had to follow the rules. There's FDA regulations, there's guides, they have to write SOPs, there's systems and processes for everything. They had to be very detail oriented. They had to be very organized. They had to have knowledge second, because they had to be look for errors. If there were errors, they had to pick them out, and knowledge can pick out an error. And if you have an error on your slideshow, they're going to be like, there's a mistake. There's a mistake. And they're not calling you out to make you look stupid. It's because their brain splits and they're like, I can't get past the mistake. I'm stuck here. It's not making sense. Okay. So knowledge had to be second, because they were going to be analyzing things. They were going to be researching things. They were going to be learning. Action had to be third. I didn't want them to ball up into a ball of goo and eat bonbons and start crying, getting emotional if something stressed them out. I wanted them to jump into action, fix it. And
Yeah.
nurturing had to be last, because they were not going to be around people. They were going to be in an office by themselves, spending time on the computer. And so that if nurturing would have been higher up in the list, it wouldn't have made sense. They would not have loved their job. I used it in the negotiation of the sale. I used it when we all met, and another company had come in with a company that purchased my company, and they were trying to work out a deal. I cracked everybody's code on the table. I used it with a large, so my company got bought by a competitor. Now, there was another competitor that prior to this had reached out and wanted me to do some packaging for him. And he sent in his salesman, and his salesman completely turned me off. I kicked him out. Now, this is a multi-million, like if I said the name, all of you would be like, I can't believe you kicked that person out. I kicked him out. I kicked the salesman out. I went to a birthday party not like 6 months ago, and the guy who owns this very large company, national brand, is there. And he's like, hey, Michelle, I would have loved to buy your company. I wish we could have worked out a deal. Do you remember when you kicked my salesman out? And I said, yes, yes, I do. And anyway, long story short, I ended up cracking his code. I told him how his salesman approached me and why it ended the way it did.
Wow. Wow. And how do most people take that kind of feedback that you've actually read them like that? How's that go over?
So it goes over really well. One, it's about them. It's not about me. It's about the person sitting across from me. I want to give them the best experience that they can have. I want to make them matter. I want them to feel seen, heard, and understood. Now, if I went to a foreign country, right, would I expect everybody to just learn my language, or would I learn
Oh,
the language of the people? Exactly. This
yeah.
is the language of the people.
Wow. I'm going to bring everybody back on the screen and just get some reactions, feedback, and questions and insights for Michelle. You can just come off mute, or you can raise your hand if you're a bee and you like those rules. Raise your digital hand. If you're outspoken and an action taker, just come off mute and talk.
I have a question.
Sure.
With the 4 breakdowns, does this pair up with disc model or any of those other quadrant type personality profiles?
Charlotte, that's a great question. If you line up DISC and you line up
Mhm.
BANK,
Mm-hmm.
there's 4 quadrants, right? DISC, BANK. Exactly the same, only completely different. And the reason that they're completely different is all the other assessments are based in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
This is not based in psychology. This is based in biology, B-U-Y-ology, the science of buying behavior. It doesn't matter if somebody's an introvert or an extrovert. It doesn't drive their decision making. This is based on core values. And people are all 4, so you're not put into a box. The magic is being able to dance in the codes and meet people where they are 100% of the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Sajad.
Sajad. He raised his hand. He's not a B. He's not a B.
That's blueprint. There has to be a plan. In full disclosure, Michelle was a client of mine a few years ago, but that's not what I want to ask about. But I feel like it's manipulative or lacking in integrity to not say that. Michelle's stuff works. So when I'm not banned from LinkedIn, I have her run my big stuff through, like the ones that hit really big, 100,000 views or 200,000 views. I have her run it through Bank, and then she tells me what hit and what didn't hit. So it works because you can find out like real-time data. It shows the analytics, like you were this much blueprint, this much action, this much nurturing, this much knowledge. And if you hit on all 4, you're going to capture everybody. So yeah, it actually works. And most of you guys know me. I don't say things that I don't mean, so I wouldn't say this if I didn't mean it. What she does works. I don't have a question. It just works.
Well, let me explain what you're saying. So with Bank, you can actually use that information to craft your content. So you can craft content for social media, blogs, videos, anything like that, that resonates with each of the 4 letters. And you can do content that would speak to all 4. So, you know how when you write a post and, you know, a post I wrote the other day, which was a little controversial, got tons of likes and tons of comments on LinkedIn because it was controversial. The post I made the day before had a quarter or an eighth of, because it was really only directed to a certain type of person. But the post that was controversial spoke to all 4 of the letters, which was really, really tough to do. But I'm going to have to get Michelle's approval on that post because I need to do that more often because it resulted in lots of eyes on that post. And that's what we all want.
I want to, may I echo something on that real quick?
Yeah.
So mine's blueprint, of course, action, nurturing, knowledge. So when my clients are struggling, I always go to nurturing. When I'm stressed out, I go to nurturing. But it starts with the plan, and then you attract, in my experience, you attract the people. Michelle, what do you call them? The AK, the horrible. I attract the worst people on earth, but they pay me a lot of money, so I love them anyways. But who are those people, Michelle? I attract the opposite of me, right?
You do. You attract the NKs and the AKs.
Can you explain it?
So he attracts nurturing, knowledge, action, blueprint, or action, knowledge, not nurturing, blueprint. So blueprint is last, typically, or in the 3rd position because of what Sajad does. So he helps people with productivity, scheduling, building their business, having a plan, looking at their numbers, right? People who are high blueprint wouldn't necessarily need his service, right? Not that anyone wouldn't need your service because your service is fantastic, However, the B's would be more, I have my own system. I know what I'm doing. I have a plan and wouldn't be the ideal fit. However, the nurturing knowledge and action knowledge need Sajad because action AKs go 100 miles an hour. It's like they have ADHD. They have a ton of ideas. They're always going, right? No plan. There's nothing. I mean, if you look there's stuff everywhere. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Sajad. It's all right. It's in an order for me. So we need someone like Sajad to help us get our plan together, get a schedule together. Like when he created a schedule for me, that was the last thing I wanted. I was like, I don't want to be in a box. And Gordon, I see you. I don't want to be in a box. I'm like, and because of the way he runs his program, I knew if I didn't send him a picture of my calendar every day, I was going to hear from him and it wasn't going to be good. So that made me do it, right? His accountability is off the chart. And what I found out was that gave me more time freedom. I mean, we've got to the point where I was literally going to the grocery store and putting my items. I remember calling you being like, I just put my items on the belt in order. I bagged them in the way they would go in my house. Like, this is sick. So that's why he attracts that opposite type of person. Now
Well, it's so true. It's so true that, think about the people that you've dated, or been married to, or have had business it's usually a yin and a yang, right? I look for people to do things with who have talents that I don't, or skills that I don't, or people that I don't. It just makes sense. You don't want to partner with somebody just like you. That's what my friends are for. They wouldn't let me work tonight. They'd want me having a bottle of wine down at their house. She's been texting me like 4 times. Like, what are you doing? When are you coming down for a drink? Da, 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 da. Well, I can't hang out with people like me all the time. I'd never get anything done. Right? It's the same with business.
I love
really,
it.
really good.
Gordon.
I'm an NK, so I would be Najad's perfect client for that kind of thing. I was just wanted to say, Michelle and I had a call. I love human behavior. I love what makes people tick. I love watching how that develops. I've taken DISC. I've taken a whole whack of other Myers-Briggs and all the different ones. And what I thought I found a really good one, and it's still a really good one, but it was 46 questions. And so, and it frustrated me being the type of human I am, because I'm like, well, of these 3 things, what are you most like? What are you least like? And I was like, oh man, I'm like all those things, or I'm like none of those things. It really frustrated me. But anyway, when I was talking to Michelle, she goes, well, I appreciate that. That's beautiful. Hey, let me try and help you. She said, can I share your screen? And I'm like, sure. So her screen pops up and she says, all right, so here's my software. And I'm just going to pull up your LinkedIn profile, which she did. And then she goes, this is going to take forever, but just be patient. I'm like, okay. And there was a little red button in the corner. She hits the red button and bam, and it did it instantly. And I'm like, holy crap. Like it was literally seconds. And she said to me, I'm going to send you the link because I want you to do it, really do it. Because she said, this is AI. What I'm using is AI. So it's going to be close. And it was, it flipped the N and the K. So when I did it myself, I was NKAB. When the AI did it, it was KNAB, but straight off my LinkedIn profile with no other input. And I was flabbergasted that it was that accurate with in a heartbeat. There was no, you know what I mean? So being able to use that as a tool to know who you're talking to before you talk to them, or listening to the way they talk, or just reading their profile and going, hey, you know what? I have a meeting with this person or a Zoom call with this person. They're looking to be a client or a prospect or a sponsor or a partner, whatever, to be able to dump one of their social medias into that software and find out literally how their brain works before you start to talk to them is invaluable. Before you hire the person, you already understand, hey, that's like shooting fish in a barrel as a salesperson. Cause I'm like, okay, if I already know how they think, I can reverse engineer my process to be able to talk to them in a way that I already know they're going to respond well to. That I was like, wow, that's ridiculously powerful. So thank you for sharing that with us, Michelle.
Oh, thank you, Gordon. And I want to share, 2 days ago, somebody invited me to a call. And I get on this call. Call was an hour and a half. Now, I really wanted what they had at the beginning before I got on the call. It was for a networking. An hour and a half I sat on this call. Actually, I bailed 15 minutes early. I tried to bail an hour early, but I mean, at an hour. But anyway, even at the end, I had no idea what they were selling. I didn't know how much it cost. I didn't know what it was going to do for me. Like, it was just information. He pulled up a graph. He had little chart drawings. He had drawings. I was like, what even is this? Like, I don't want to be a part of this. He totally didn't speak my language. He didn't listen. Like, I did not feel seen, heard, or understood. Even when I raised my little hand, I was like, he didn't, somebody else, the other guy who was there as a prospect said, hey, Michelle has a question. I was like, this is the
Wow.
worst thing ever. And it's all in that presentation. Like, if you have an audience you don't know who you're talking to, all 4 codes. That doesn't have to be long. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me to speak all 4 codes, I'd be like, who wants to increase their sales? Would you like to build strong relationships with everyone around you and truly make people matter? With a proven system that'll walk you through step by step the process. Scientifically validated and will predict buying behavior in less than 90 seconds, giving you all the information you need for your prospect so you can get a yes instead of a no. That's all 4 codes.
Yeah.
How many of you are speakers? Anybody speak off stage? On stages? Yes? Do you close at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see a powerful close?
Yeah.
All right, you ready? So when you're doing your intro and you're out, right? Right. So you want to speak all 4 languages. Your actions buy first. So it'd be something like, who's ready to buy now? I have a special bonus for you, and Susan's in the back, ready to roll out the red carpet and give you the bonus you're ready for. Who's ready to join a movement to truly make people matter? Make this world a better place and make a difference with everyone around them. Over there is in the back is Karen, and she's going to greet you with a giant hug so that you can help us on this movement to make a difference in the world. For those of you who need more details, we can walk you through this process step by step. If you go over there and meet with Tom, he'll be able to provide you with the details and walk you through the next steps and the process. We will be staying an extra half an hour to answer any additional questions you may have. Tom has the research papers on the back table, along with any other information that you're going to need to make an educated decision.
Wow.
Closing to 4 different types of people. I just gave you a golden nugget. We teach this in our trainings.
That was great. That was great. But does everyone see how powerful she spoke to every single one of us in this room with that information, right? And I think one of the things I love so much about it, I'll be right there, Sajad. One of the things I love so much about this is that it's not persuasion. It's not manipulation. It's truly knowing who you're talking to. And if you're a speaker, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, I don't care if you're selling widgets, pots and pans, or software, knowing your customer is the biggest thing you can do for your business. 100%. Love it. Sajad.
I have one actually, Michelle, and a genuine, honest, new question for you. I know it's crazy, right?
I'm ready.
We've been talking for years now. I just came up with one. What about the people you meet with that talk the entire time? What's that about?
Okay, so there's a couple of codes that talk a lot. NKs love to talk, nurturing knowledge, they love to talk. They want to build a relationship, they have all kinds of information to share, right? So you gotta allot that time, or tell them you gotta stop at the top of the hour, right? AK-47s, also, they can come at you like an AK-47. That's why we nickname them that. I was on a call with somebody and he was literally all over the place. He was spitting out information. He was like, I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. I was just like, fascinating. He didn't look at me, like N was last, right? He was just like, do you ever get on a Zoom call with somebody and they're staring and they're like, that was him. And I was like, wow, your ear looks fantastic. That's great. Like we had this call, right? But different personalities show up differently. It also depends on where that N is, and it depends on their emotional intelligence. Okay, those things play into that code. That's why in the coaching program, we teach the 6 intelligences. But when you learn bank, you're increasing that emotional intelligence, your awareness, your skills of listening. So that's why you got to look at the whole picture of that person. But yes, Sajad, to answer your question, there are ones that just don't stop talking.
I also know that doing this for a few years now, I can pretty much identify a person's personality type with, well, I don't want to insult the product, but at this point, I've been doing it for so long, I get a feel for like where they're coming from, whether they're nurturing, action, blueprint, or knowledge. If you do it long enough, you can start to feel it.
So Sajad, and you're absolutely right. There's a key to that though, right? How long have we known each other? A really long time. And guessing the key to bank is to be able to dance in the codes. So even though I know Sajad's code is BANK, if he calls me and he's in K, I'm going to meet him there. I'm not just going to say he's BANK. He's always going to be I'm going to talk to him BANK. That's just the way he is. That's not true. They're tools in the toolbox, right? So I'll give you an example. I'm hanging a picture on the wall. I know the hammer is the best tool, but yet I'll pick up a water bottle, I'll pick up my phone, I'll pick up a stapler, and I'll try to hit the nail into the wall because I didn't want to walk out to the garage to get the hammer. Okay.
Because you so wanted to take action right now. What can I use?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like I don't want to hang it now. I don't want to wait 5 minutes. I want to hang it now. Okay. It's just like this. I know Blueprint is the best tool to use for certain things. But you have to have that self-awareness first. And how do you tap into it? How do you pull out your tool and say, you know what? Okay, here's what I need to do. And Tom, you had your hand up.
Well, Sajad almost stole my question, but he didn't. You gave us 4 different closes and they're masterful, and I appreciate the distinction. They stand out. Now let's talk about the very first step in a sales call is building that bridge of trust so that you can get into the real process of uncovering the need. Are there any guidelines or formula that you use in your first conversation that don't include LinkedIn, don't include code breaker technologies that you have at your fingertips, but you have to bring it out conversationally in the discovery process of how to get the relationship connection.
That's a great question, Tom. So when I got introduced to this, I literally immersed myself. I listen to the training still every day. So when I go on those calls, I'm going to let that person talk. Doesn't matter if I've cracked their code or not. I'm going to let them do all of the talking because I want them to, because with what I know, I'm able to say, okay, this is where this person's showing up today. Because just like I used Sajjad as an example, just because their code and they cracked their code and my code's ANKB, I may show up on a call because I just had a stressful day. I slipped on the dog bed, fell on the ground. I came running over to the call and now I'm here and all scattered and I'm showing up in knowledge. So the person that's across from me, think of your bank code as a foundation. If you know my bank code and I show up in knowledge, understanding bank will give you the ability to pull me out of that situation, pull me out and put me in my happy place again. And to give you an example of that, I had to go for a retest for a mammogram. Everything's fine. But at the time, I didn't know that. So my fiance said, oh, I'm going to come with you. And he flew in. He lives in New York. He flew in. We drive down to the appointment. I don't talk. I'm not speaking. Now he knows, because he knows my bank code, he's not really going to say a whole lot. We get down there. They hand me a clipboard. I look at the clipboard and I go, well, this is stupid. I said, what difference does it make how many times I was married? Does it matter if I drink? No. And why are they asking me all these questions about my health? They can push a button. They have all my records. Why are they asking? This is stupid, right? And people in the waiting room were literally hearing me process my thoughts out loud. John knows where I'm at. His code is NBAK. So his typical response pre-bank would have been to give me a hug. It's going to be okay. Everything's fine. I literally would have lost my mind if he would have touched me. Okay. I would have lost. I would have been like, what did you? It would have ended badly and I would have been mad at him the whole time. So being able to read that person and understand where they're at and how to communicate and meet them there. So on those calls, when people come on, I'm going to have them talk. I want to learn about them. It's not about me. It's about them. Now, how do I meet them where they are? And so that's, that's the key, is really becoming that good listener and to listen more than you talk, which Tom.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's interesting here is what you're saying is bank is a tool to accentuate your relationships. So it's a tool in your toolbox, but with self-awareness, with listening, with rapport building skills, it's going to be that tool that you can use to help you along the way. Like,
So
Tom is masterful at building
absolutely
rapport with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we have to remember is we have tools in bank, but we also have that training. So like I'm level 5. So I went through all of the training numerous times. It's wash, rinse, repeat. The difference between this and the other assessments is it's a simple system. So once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. Like you could get off this call and start decoding people on TV and be like, wow, what was Scooby-Doo? Right? And you're going to relate that person and be like, oh my gosh, I get it. By the way, Shaggy and Scooby had the same bank code because Shaggy was not originally supposed to be in Scooby-Doo. However, Shaggy couldn't talk, or Scooby couldn't talk, so they added Shaggy. They have the same bank.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right,
Fun
I
fact.
want to I want to hear from some more voices in the room. Gordon, I love what you put in the chat. It does. That's how emotional intelligence really brings and helps you meet people where they're at. And this is one of those tools that can help you do that. Love that. All right, so I want to hear from a couple more of you. Share your thoughts, your insights, or just how you think this could help you by knowing not only your own code, because this whole entrepreneurial coach stuff starts with learning yourself on a deeper level, but then how could it help you relate to other people better? Come on, don't be shy.
While you're thinking about that, I'll tell you a story about me and my son. He's BK NA. So for 18 years, I literally stressed the kid out. I thought I was being the fun mom. I thought I was, oh, come on, let's go on a trip. Pack your bags. We're leaving now. And he'd melt down into tears, even at the toy store. We could not communicate. He came home from college before I took this training and did not want to be here. It broke my heart. And I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong as a parent. I would give him hugs and he would freak out. Like, don't. And I was like, who doesn't want a hug? Like, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong as a parent? There's no manual on parenting. It was his wiring system. KBs, BKs, they don't like to be touched. They don't like emotions. It clouds logic. So every time I would get all mushy and tell him how much I loved him and try to hug him, it would just make him cringe. It wasn't personal, it's personality. So now when I ask him, hey, Jay, can I give you a hug? He can plan for it. He can think about it. And then he can say, yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But it's not a surprise. So from everything from us playing games, building Legos, and going to the toy store, like I totally destroyed the kid. And I had no idea. And for my Ks can be they can feel very alone. Because people think they're difficult. Because they ask a lot of questions. And it's not that they're questioning to be difficult. It's that it needs to make sense. They need to understand. They're asking because they truly want to know.
Yeah.
It's not personal, it's personality. I mean, these 4 little cards saved a child from suicide. He was 12 years old and he tried to commit suicide because he didn't feel understood. He thought he was broken. He didn't fit in with his family. He was a high K living with 3 A's, sister, mom, and dad. They couldn't figure out why he didn't want to go and do social things and play sports and do all the things they love. He felt broken because he wanted to be in his room. He wanted to read. He wanted to play video games. And he didn't like those social situations.
Yeah. Charlotte, you were going to say something.
I saw Suzanne's link to where we can crack our code. When we do that, does that also provide, is that where we can get access to training or information about how to spot other people's, or do we come to you for that, Michelle? How does that work?
Yeah, so you can crack your code there and you'll get a free report all about
Okay.
you. And then you can reach out to me and I can talk to you about the training and the other options.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You need to have a one-on-one with Michelle anyway. So
I think we have one already scheduled. I'm not sure, but anyway, I reached out to you this week to connect, but I don't know if I've gotten on your calendar yet.
Fantastic. I look forward to it.
all right, Daniel, what do you have to say? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a lot of coworkers with Network in Action that are huge fans of BANK, and I'm in conversations to get signed up and start using the process. But I, of course, I'm going to hold out for somebody that wants to be part of my community too, because if I'm going to spend the money, I might as well spend it with somebody who's spending it with me. So Michelle's helping me find the right person for that role. And
Wonderful.
I am very excited about improving my communication skills and potentially mending some relationships that
And Daniel, I am on your calendar. I think it's in October, but I'm on your calendar.
well, you had told me that the challenge, the challenge for you was the consistency of the monthly meeting. So we can get
Yeah.
back into that conversation if you want or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Susie, how
But-
about you? What are your
Big
thoughts?
fan.
Well, Michelle, you just gave me some great insight into my youngest son. So, yeah, awesome.
I'm
That's
so glad.
that's all I can think of right now is
Well,
is-
that's
yeah.
totally, that's why you were here tonight, Miss. Awesome. Gordon, what are your thoughts?
If I can find the button here. It's a very powerful thing to be able to not just, and I'm a big EQ guy, as you all know, but trying to connect, to understand yourself as well as, right? I think to be able to understand other people, you got to know who you are. And so understanding how you're wired allows you to be able to reach out and help and understand the people that are, Michelle and I, she shared that story when we talked about her son, and powerful for me. But I think it's powerful for everybody because it goes, hey, you know what? I don't understand why we don't connect. And as soon as she starts to talk about bank and you start to understand how people are wired, you go, the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, excellent. So I've just been, beating my head against the wall for the last 20 years trying to connect with my kid. I don't understand why. And all of a sudden the light comes on. So very, very powerful tool.
Yeah. Yeah. Sajad says all the time, take yourself outside of yourself and look at yourself, which when you say it really fast like that, it sounds super smart. So,
A lot of people don't want to do that. Most
I
people
know.
don't want to look, they don't want to do the introspection, and they don't want to hear I'm lacking somehow, which is why I think only less than 3% of the population does any kind of personal development, because it's so hard and it's messy, and it means I have to go, oh my God, what? I'm not perfect. That can't be right. And I don't want to look, right?
Well, what do you say to the person who's addicted to that, who that's all they want to do?
You just hand them a mirror.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with like, I just want to learn. I just want to learn more things that I do wrong, think or not wrong. How can I think better? How can I grow that? How can I expand? I could spend all day doing that.
Suzanne, it's your wiring system.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. Alicia, what are your thoughts?
I was glad I never had kids. That's all I could
What do you
say.
mean? You got a giant one right over there.
Yeah, no, I think this stuff is fascinating. I really do, and I can see that it works. I mean, Michelle has definitely demonstrated numerous times how what makes two people click, what makes two people clash, and it definitely works. So this has been very, very interesting, and I love the closing lines that she told us how to connect with everybody in the audience. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that's your challenge after tonight is your social media post tomorrow to appeal to all 4 of the letters. Challenge you
And-
there. See how it goes.
Yeah, and when you get your report, you'll have all the value cards on there, so it will help you with your post. And then I'll go crack all of the posts and I'll let you know what the results are.
That sounds
Also, yeah, and also in Sajad's program I went through way back when, and I mentioned that, and he is incredible at making you look inside and blame yourself for everything because it's our fault. No one else's, right, Sajad?
Yeah. Yep.
You're like, yeah.
Yep. It's all our fault. It's all my fault. What did I do wrong?
It's the only thing you control is your thoughts and your behaviors.
This is true.
Very true.
How you react or respond.
I have a question for you, Michelle.
Yes.
Is that okay, Suzanne?
Yeah, sure.
I DM'd somebody at a meeting and said, we haven't met yet. All I'm gonna do is research you, add massive value, not to try to sell you anything. And they responded, I already have a bunch of coaches. So what is that? Knowledge, probably, right? Like if I'm not gonna try to sell you anything. I'm gonna research you. I'm gonna add massive value. That's all I'm gonna do, which is true. That's what I'm gonna do, honestly. So why would that what is the code there? What's the reason for not meeting?
So I'd have to look at your message. However, it doesn't sound like there was a whole lot of nurturing in there, Sajad. So that's probably the first problem. Just saying.
Well, I have an interesting take on that, Sajad. I messaged someone, we met at a networking event, and I messaged her on LinkedIn, and I said her headline on LinkedIn was not what she does, but it was about who she is as a person. It's totally different than anything else I had ever seen before. And that was what I said to her. Love your headline. It really gives, I don't know what you do though. I know who you are, but I don't know what you do, and I would love to learn more. She said, no, thanks. I already have a business coach. And I said, you misunderstood. I want to know what you do and about you. And she said, oh, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I have a community. I have this, I have, and I like meeting people and connecting them. If you don't want to, it's okay. But I'm not meeting with you to be your business coach. Oh, she said, oh, you have to understand. I'm like, I understand. I get 40 of those messages a day. So I had to give her a little nurturing in order for her. And turns out we have a shit ton in common, the same exact ideal client. And she does something just slightly different enough that we could bring each other in on larger business things if we had a good relationship. But she never would have known that because she had that instant no thanks.
Right. So K's and B's are very skeptical and guarded.
Mm.
So as soon as they get something like that, it's going to be like, no. Like, in fact, K's and if somebody says I don't want to crack my code, I already know what their code is. Okay,
That's
great. Don't
That's
crack it. So just keep that in mind. And she was probably like KN or NK or NB, BN. And so when you came back with that nurturing piece, it was like, oh, okay, I can put my guard down.
Mhm.
I don't want to be sold to.
Right. Right. All right,
Actions are
let's
going
go
to
to-
come.
Let's ask Joe. Joe, you have your bank code in your name, or is that your last name? KNAB.
No, that's my bank code.
Okay.
So my A and my N are tied, and my K is only 1 point above my A and my
Okay.
N. So those three are fairly interchangeable.
So what's your takeaway from all this? How do you use it?
I just always love listening to Michelle. I'm still learning how to actually implement it. I don't have kids to implement it with, so it's just me and my husband, and I go through spells where I forget that it exists, and then all of a sudden I remember, and I start contacting Michelle with a flurry of questions and calls, and I need to make this a habit. That's where I'm at, is understanding it enough to use it regularly so that it becomes a habit. And that's kind of the point that I'm at.
Nice.
Yes, pets have a bank code. That's something I've been playing with, is making a questionnaire that pet parents could answer to get their pet's bank code.
Yeah, Gordon, my Harlequin, she is the same code as me. Now I had an English Bulldog, and she was BKAN. She had her own personality. She was more like a cat, really.
That's great.
When I figured out my dog's bank code, it like just like all of a sudden hit me like a ton of bricks in the middle of a bank training that I was on. And I'm messaging Michelle. I'm like, oh my God, I just figured out my dog's bank code. And it's really funny because he's always kind of been my husband's dog. I mean, like he loves mom, but dad is his person. And I really think they're pretty close to the same bank code as well. So.
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Dr. Keith, what did you think? Takeaways.
I think my main takeaway from tonight is how effective and useful this can be in crafting posts and thinking out how you can hit all 4 of those points on a post.
Yeah. And, you know, I would add, being the content creator that I am, that your call to action at the end of the post, you can't use all 4 at the end of the post, but you can damn well make sure that you're rotating those calls to action. Even in your videos, you know, anybody who's doing short videos like on TikTok, Dr. Keith's on TikTok and Sajad's on TikTok, rotating that call to action to appeal to those different people, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you can run the videos through the AI. There's a voice recognition button as well.
And as is unlike me, I have very little to say tonight.
I blew your mind, didn't I?
You do every time. What can I say? Normally I can't stop talking, but you just blew my mind.
I consider you a very stoic, calm person.
Oh, wow. Okay. Usually I really don't stop talking. That's why I'm a speaker, because I feel like I talk all the time. I should get paid for it.
I like that.
I guess I fooled you all.
Yeah.
I knew you were a talker.
Maybe you're
I'm
just
sure you
tired.
did.
Maybe you're just tired tonight. All right. Tom Gay, what's your takeaway?
Well, you've raised my consciousness again. It should have been higher, but it's my fault for not keeping it higher. As you see in the chat, I called it an inside out game. First is you've got to be aware of yourself and then be ready to be aware of the other person. And if you're not open to the awareness and the consciousness, this is you're going to miss the opportunity to use the value of understanding our distinctions and relating to people based on our distinctions. So very powerful. And, you know, as much as I've been around this, I still need to keep my awareness raised. Thank you for this, Michelle.
Thank you, Tom.
So great. Thanks, Michelle. Any final questions or anything for Michelle? Please, Michelle, drop your links in the chat. Oh, geez. Tom, I'm going to have you ever heard of Sid Banks, Tom?
Of who again?
Sid Banks, SYDBANKS.
No, I'm not aware.
Right. He was a psychotherapist who conceptualized being able to live from the inside out. And he came up with a theory called the 3 principles of thought. I'm going to send you a video based on what you said. You sounded just like him. I'm going to send you something.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
My knowledge side needs nurturing.
Well, I'm a nurturing knowledge.
I know you are. I love you for that.
So happy to supply more knowledge. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We're going to hang out and chat, cracking each other's codes. If you want to hang out for a little bit longer, you're welcome to. Coach Conversations is here every 3rd Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. I have a huge list of coaches, but as you can see, there's only a small room here. So if you know a coach or a consultant who would like to attend meaningful conversations with other coaches and incredible experts, I have experts lined up for the next 8 months. So if you're curious about who's coming, who's going to be here, just stay in touch with me. Get on the list for Coach Conversations. You subscribe for tonight, you'll be on for those reminders. The Idea Lab community is on Facebook, and it's there for you to grab knowledge from, supply knowledge to. And we have our monthly networking event on Thursday, the 28th at 4 p.m. That's always on the fourth Thursday of the month. And if you need that link, let me know. In the Facebook group, the Idea Lab for Entrepreneurs, all the events are listed there. Polarizing Networking is tomorrow at 11 Eastern. I'm a sponsor. Michelle's a sponsor. Sajad runs that magical show over there with his partner, Kristen. Sajad, you have your hand up. Want to say something about yourself?
Well, what Suzanne meant to say was bring 3 people next time. So bring 3 people next time.
Bring 3 people next time.
Specific ask. And then you didn't ask me what I thought of today.
Oh, what did you think of today?
I was amazing. I mean, I really enjoyed
No, of
next
other
time.
people. I appreciate your self-introspection, but what did you think of other
Well,
people?
Michelle is super hot and Tom made me laugh a couple times. So that was cool. I loved it. Great event always. Suzanne Taylor King, you are an amazing human being. Bring 3 people next time.
Thank you.
3 people, you guys. And Charlotte, get on my calendar. I'm not going to try to say, I love you and you're so pretty. I just want to hang out with you and talk to you and do tender things.
My husband of 34 years might have something to say about that.
And my girlfriend and my wife would get mad too. I just mean in business.
Always making me laugh. Makes the cheeks hurt.
I know, I was just thinking that.
Ugh. Jeez. But I guess that's like, Sajad is like face yoga.
Oh my gosh. That's perfect.
Isn't it?
Keith, you can do something with that, right? Can't you?
Sajad,
Always.
you can charge extra for that.
What is it?
You could charge
Face
extra.
yoga. Alicia has somebody, and Alicia introduced me to her person, and I still need to meet with her. I could see the difference in Alicia's face. It was crazy.
And that's
Face
all the
yoga?
face yoga. She doesn't let me needle her face. I keep telling her to schedule needling time. She doesn't do it. She's
Oh
all
my
about the
God.
face yoga.
I'd be over there 3 times a week.
I mean, I can needle your face.
I need some right here. I need it here. I need it here.
This is absolutely the specialty I went to school for, and I'm good at it.
I know, but you're too far away from me.
Where are you located?
I'm in New Jersey.
Just outside of Chicago.
It's in Chicago.
That's a little
Suzanne,
far.
what part of Jersey are you in again?
Marlton, near Cherry Hill.
Okay. Well, next time I'm
Good
out.
night, folks. Gotta
Good
go.
night, Charlotte.
Bye, Charlotte.
Bye.
Next time I'm out in New York, I'll give you a call. Take you out to lunch.
All right. Do you drive like across Pennsylvania and up to New York? Then you go right by me. New York's like 2 hours from me, so I'm closer to Philadelphia.
Okay.
So if you go like across and up, I don't know what road you take, but
So, well, if I take the southern route, I take the turnpike. If I take the northern route, I take 80.
okay.
And my son just moved out to Media, PA. He just got a he's going through the doctorate program at Widener University.
Oh, nice. Well, I don't know have you met Charlie Timmons?
Yeah.
He's in like King of Prussia area.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm out there, and sometimes we meet in the city. So he's got an office in Center City, which that would be fun. So let me know. We'll plan it. His Center City office is kind of like a swanky collaborative office space on like the 54th floor of a building. It's really cool.
Oh, cool. Bye,
See you,
Tom.
Tom. Bye, Gordon. Oh,
Bye, Gordon.
Gordon.
for
Drop
being
the
here.
drop the link for your program. You still have, are you full?
Not yet. I think I've got 7 spaces, 6 or 7
Okay,
spaces
I'll-
left.
I'll send something out tomorrow again.
I
Thank you
will
so
too,
much.
Gordon.
Love you all.
Love you.
Yeah.
All right, Joe.